The US short seller Hindenburg Research has wound up their operations. Today morning, media quoted the founder of Hindenburg Research, Mr. Nathan Anderson, saying he has decided to end their operations. The reason he says is he has made enough money. So why should he focus on business? Now he wants to pursue his passions. He wants to travel around the world. He wants to spend precious time with his fiancée and so many things. He has got to do so many things in this world. But not everybody is willing to believe his words. Actually, his logic doesn't wash with many people. You know, in the recent years, Hindenburg Research has been in the limelight because of his crusade against Indian conglomerate Adani Group. And you know, that was not just a business battle. Since Mr. Gautam Adani, the CEO of, or the chairman of Adani Group, is considered to be a close friend of India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and there are accusations that Mr. Gautam Adani was getting favors from the BJP government. All the accusations of uh, the Hindenburg research has been used by rivals of Adani Group and rivals of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in India. The leader of opposition and the Congress leader in India, Rahul Gandhi, used to parrot the findings of Hindenburg research. Now, the action of Hindenburg has now left everybody in the dark. Now, India's opposition will also be groping in the dark as to why Hindenburg Research decided to end operations. And perhaps in the coming days, we will come to know more about what really happened at the Hindenburg Research. But let's take a closer look into the operations of Hindenburg Research in the recent years and how it impacted Indian politics and Adani Group especially. Welcome to Insights. I am Hari Kumar. You know, Indians have not heard much about Hindenburg Research till the recent years. It was when Hindenburg Research released certain so-called incriminating evidences against the Adani Group. Indians came to know about this short seller, which they themselves call a research firm. I think it was in 2023 January, that is 2 years before, that Hindenburg Research released a report which was an earth-shaking report. It was a bombshell. It created an earthshake. At that time, Mr. Gautam Adani, the chairman of Adani Group, was the third richest person on the globe. You know, he is the first Indian to become one among the first five richest people on the globe, I think. Though Mukesh Ambani was there in the first 10 sometime, I don't think he was among the first five. Anyway, that was a surprise. And you know, after Hindenburg Research released their report, Adani fell from the top. Hindenburg then said Adani had manipulated, they got evidence that Adani had manipulated share prices through his shell companies operating in countries like Mauritius. Then the second accusation was of accounting fraud. Then the third accusation was, money laundering. So those three accusations reverberated in Indian politics, and that was just before the general elections in India, that is elections to the Lok Sabha, and the alleged close links of Gautam Adani and Prime Minister Narendra Modi were raised by the opposition in their election speeches, campaign rallies, etc. And it became one of the hotly discussed topics in the 2024 elections. And many people were accusing, but on the other hand, Adani groups denied all the allegations. And Indian, agencies that investigated into the allegations found that there was not much matter in the accusations. Adani Group lost that. It was actually bloodbath for Adani Group. They lost so much money. Their share value took a plunge. But an year later, Adani regained the confidence. He returned to limelight, and it became almost clear that the the research house or the short seller didn't have enough evidence to prove that Adani had indulged in uh, those corrupt practices which he was alleged of. And Hindenburg didn't stop there. Then later, the Hindenburg Research accused India's Securities and Exchange Board, the regulator, the share market regulator, of many unfair practices. According to the Hindenburg Research, the chief of SEBI was alleged to have investments in a company owned by the brother of Gautam Adani. And so the Hindenburg accused that there was conflict of interest in chairperson of SEBI continuing in that post. Again, that was also not proved. And then there was a third round of allegations which said that the Swiss government had freezed deposits of Adani Group in Swiss banks. I don't think that again that was also proved. And later on, the US Justice Department again now alleged Adani Group of certain malpractices. And now a case has been filed in a New York court against the Adani Group. Meanwhile, I think it is the change in government in the United States which has caused, or which the Hindenburg research is apprehensive of. Of late, a very powerful Republican senator raised certain questions about the case against Adani Group being pursued by the US Justice Department. Mr. Lance, the Republican congressman, he pointed out that the US didn't have any stake in the issue. The Adani Group was accused of giving bribes to certain Indian chief ministers to get contracts of power transmission in their states. The US congressman pointed out that even if that crime happened, that didn't happen in the US. Number one, and both the parties were not in India. Adani was not in the US. Then the the chief ministers were also who supposedly received bribes. They were not in the US, and in no way the action impacted US investors or in the bonds issued by Adani Group. So the US congressman has called for a thorough inspection in the whole issue, and he has requested the Justice Department to keep all the files related to the case safe, and he has actually called for a review of all those accusations. So I think perhaps all those new developments might have unsettled the Hindenburg research, and perhaps you don't know whether a deal has been worked out between certain groups. Anyway, I don't think the Hindenburg is going to get the same support from the deep state in the US from now onwards, since the government changed, and I don't think Mr. Donald Trump is going to extend his full support to the Hindenburg research, because he doesn't have any stakes in the activities of the Hindenburg. So I think that could be one of the major reasons. I feel that the share markets in India might have sensed something like that was in the air, because during the last couple of days the share prices of Adani Group have steeply risen, and the company Adani Power, which was in the eye of the storm following the US accusation that the Adani Adani Green Power had bribed two chief ministers. Then there were other issues also. There were, I mean, all those are gone. The share prices of Adani's, all companies of Adani's, including the flagship company Adani Enterprises, the other companies including Adani Ports and Special Economic Zone, all are now in the black, and they are getting, you know, fresh contracts also from Indian states. So I think there could be more news about the uh, winding up of operations of Hindenburg Research in the coming days. Let's wait for some more days, and I will be back with updates. Thank you, and meet you again. Goodbye.